With the 2024 election looming up, many Americans are going to have to decide who to elect for the next president of the United States. The next president is either going to be Donald Trump or Joe Biden, two presidents of the United States. Donald Trump trying to make a comeback bid after losing in 2020, and the American people are going to have to decide who to elect for the next president. Why either it's going to be the president right now, Joe Biden, or the former president, Donald Trump. So, regarding this matchup, there are 6 key swing states that would ultimately decide how the election goes. I believe that North Carolina is going to go to Trump. Same with Texas and Florida. Meanwhile, Biden is more likely than not going to hang on to Minnesota and New Hampshire. So, anyways, regarding the Electoral College map, this would actually be the scenario which Americans fear the most, which would be a 269 to 269 Electoral College tie. In this scenario, the Constitution states that the election would go to the House of Representatives, in which the representatives would decide who to elect as President of the United States. So the scenario in which a 269-269 tie actually occurs, and this is the scenario which many people have been fearing would happen, would be if Biden does really well in the Sun Belt, and he wins Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. He does really well in suburban Phoenix, suburban Atlanta, as well as Reno, and he doesn't lose that many votes in Clark County. This would lead to 259 electoral votes for Biden. And Biden also does very well in Wisconsin, doesn't lose rural voters by that much, and also outperforms his 2020 results in the wild counties, and also maxes out in Dane County, and also does pretty well in Milwaukee. This would lead to Biden having 269 electoral votes, and then Trump would flip Michigan and Pennsylvania. He would do this by doing really well among rural voters in these two states. He would pretty much max out rurals, and he would not do that poorly in suburban Philly and suburban Detroit. And as a whole, this would be the scenario in which there's a 269-269 tie. This would be a very interesting scenario, to say the least, considering the fact that the two states which Trump would flip from 2020 would actually be the two states which he did the worst in among the swing states, that he won in 2016 and then lost in 2020, which are Michigan and Pennsylvania, which are the bluest of the states that Biden flipped in 2020. But anyways, regardless of how weird this scenario is, this would be what a 269 to 269 electoral college tie would look like. And as for the United States Senate, this would be another scenario, which is, what if the Senate was actually tied again? Which is because of the fact that the United States Senate would actually vote in the Vice President of the United States if there's a tie. But let's say Democrats hold on to every single swing state in the 2024 Senate elections, which includes Montana and Ohio, then in this scenario, there would basically be a 50-50 tie in the Senate. And it's unclear, actually, if the Vice President has the power to vote themselves in case of the tie. The Constitution does not actually state whether this is possible or not. And if Kamala Harris does vote herself into the presidency, there's like a 99% chance that conservatives across the country are going to probably challenge it. The Supreme Court is definitely going to take a look at it, and this would ultimately prolong the process of who the vice president is by even longer. As for the House of Representatives, this would be the scenario, which is actually, right as of now, Republicans hold 27 state delegations. Actually, they hold 26 state delegations. Meanwhile, the Democrats hold 22 state delegations regarding the House of Representatives. Now, you may be wondering what even a state delegation is. So, regarding the contingent election in the House of Representatives, the representatives at large actually don't vote on who the next president is. What actually happens is that the representatives convene in their states, and each state has one vote regarding who the next president is. And this may seem unfair because it really is, considering the fact that California, with its 52 representatives, would get as much representation over who the president is as the state of Wyoming with its one representative. But anyways, this would be the scenario, which is Republicans flip North Carolina's delegation, which is more likely than not, considering the Republican redrawn lines in the state, which overwhelmingly favor the GOP. This would lead to Republicans flipping North Carolina. As for the state of Arizona, let's say Trump underperforms his 2020 margins across the suburbs, which includes the Sunbelt state of Arizona, and doesn't do well in Phoenix and Tucson. This would lead to Democrats flipping 2 congressional districts there, which would give them a majority in the Arizona state delegation regarding the House of Representatives. And this would be another scenario, which is the state of Montana. Democrats actually flip 1 seat in Montana because John Tester wins the Senate election, and let's say his down ballot coattails result in a Democrat flipping Ryan Zinke's seat, which he only won by 3 points in 2022. If this seat flips, Republicans have 25 state delegations, meanwhile Democrats have 23. And without a majority of the state delegations actually deciding on who the next president is, without there being a clear majority, this would probably lead to like months of arguments over who the next president will be, considering the fact that Republicans nor Democrats can get a majority of state delegations. So this would ultimately be the worst scenario in which the 2024 election can take place. This would lead to this would be the worst scenario ever for the 2024 election because the Senate won't be able to decide the vice president, the presidency won't be, and the House of Representatives won't be able to decide the president, and it would overall lead to months of fighting in Congress. And yeah, this would be the worst scenario in the 2024 election. This would be the nightmare scenario. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like this video down below and subscribe to the channel.